Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. This is Tariq Amin, lecturer, Department of English, Kuwait University of Science and Technology cohort. A very warm welcome to the course of Functional English. This is video number 1 of the lecture number 26. In this video, we are going to discuss use of auxiliary verbs. Let's have a look at the discussion agenda of today's class. In today's class, we are going to read about auxiliary verbs, or auxiliaries, be, have, and do, etc. These are different auxiliary verbs. Let's define what are auxiliary verbs. When the verbs be, have, and do are used with ordinary verbs to make tenses, to make passive forms, to make questions and negatives, they are called auxiliary verbs. When the verbs do, have, had, etc. and the different forms of the verb to be are used with ordinary verbs. Ordinary verbs are play, sing, write, read, etc. These are ordinary verbs. And when these verbs for the different forms of the verb to be such as is, am, are, was, were, etc. and the forms of the verb have, has, had, etc. and do, did, etc. are used with these ordinary verbs to make tenses, to make passive forms, and to make questions and negatives. They are called auxiliary verbs. The different forms of the verb to be are is, am, are, was, were. These are different forms of the verb to be. Be, are, to be. And have is another kind of auxiliary verb, and do is another kind. Let's discuss first of all be, the verb to be. The auxiliary be is used where it is used, and it is used in the formation of continuous tenses. It is used in the formation of continuous tenses. For example, I am playing cricket. It is continuous tense. Playing is the past, but it is the participle form of the verb play. It is used. The verb to be am is used in the formation of continuous tense in this example. And we look at the second example. It is also continuous tense. He is reading a book. He is reading a book. Continuous sentence. It is a present continuous sentence. And we can see that the form of the verb to be, which is in this example, has been used in this example in order to form present continuous tense. And they are playing cricket. Once again, we can see that the form of the verb to be is used over here in this example, and playing is the participle form of the verb, the verb play. Play is original verb, and ing has been added to it in order to form continuous sentence, continuous tense. I was writing. Same is the case with the example number 4 as well. Was has been used in this example. Is, am, or, was. These words is, am, or, was, were, etc. These are the different forms of the verb to be. Were is they were playing cricket. Same is the case with this example number 5 as well. The auxiliary be is used in the formation of passive structures as well. For example, it is used in the formation of passive voice. The book is read by Zahid. Zahid read the book. Zahid reads the book. The book is read by Zahid. So it is used in the formation of the passive voice. The gate was open. It is also passive voice. And the door was broken. The door was broken. This example is also in the passive voice. The door was broken. It is not in the active voice because the form of the verb shows that something has been done to something. It does not show that the subject of the verb perform an action. It shows that something has been done to the subject of the action. That is why it is in the passive voice. The work will be done by him. Same is the case with this example as well. This example is in the passive voice. Be followed by the infinitive is used when the form of the verb be is followed by the infinitive, then it is used, number one, to indicate a plan. It may indicate a plan. It indicates arrangement and agreement when it is followed by the infinitive. For example, I am to see him tomorrow. This is to see is infinitive. It is the infinitive, and the form of the verb to be is used in this example, which is am. And over here it show a plan. It show a plan. I am to see him tomorrow. And we are to be married next month. It shows, I think, it shows arrangement. To be married is infinitive, and or is used before it in order to show arrangement. Be followed by the infinitive is also used to denote command. It might denote command as well when the form of the verb to be is followed by the infinitive. For example, you are to write your name at the top of each sheet of paper. It indicates command. Someone is commanding someone. Someone passes a command to someone that you have to write. You are to write your name at the top of each sheet of your paper. To write is basically an infinitive, and are has been used just before it in order to show command, in order to denote command. And mother says you are to go to market at once. Once again, in this example, a command has been shown, command has been indicated. It indicates a command. Mother says you are to go. To go is an infinitive, and we can see that are has been used before it in order to show command, in order to indicate a command. Another auxiliary verb is have. The auxiliary have is used in the formation of the past, the formation of the perfect tense. It is used in the formation of and the creation of the perfect tenses. For example, Zahid has worked, or she has worked, or he has worked. He has been working. These are the examples of perfect tenses. This is he has worked. It is present perfect tense, and he has been working. It is present perfect continuous tense, and we can see the use of the auxiliary has. We can also see the use of the auxiliary has in the first example, and in the present perfect tense, and in the present perfect continuous tense. And we have worked, I have worked, they have worked, and they have been working. The first part of the sentence is present perfect tense, and the second one is present perfect continuous tense. We use have with they, I, and we use has with he, she, it, or name of any person. And have to is used with the infinitive. It is used with the infinitive to indicate obligation. When it is used with the infinitive, it indicates obligation. For example, we have to be there by 5 o'clock. I have to be there by 5 o'clock, or they have to be there by 5 o'clock. This example, have to has been used in this example, and it indicates obligation. It indicates obligation. It means that we must be there by 5. It is obligatory for us to be there by 5 o'clock. It is obligatory for us that by 5 o'clock we must be there. So it indicates obligation. Or he has to move the furniture himself. She has to move the furniture himself. Or Zahid has to move the furniture himself. it also indicates obligation. It is obligatory for Zahid or he or she or him or her to move the furniture himself. They themselves should move the furniture. The past form had to. Had to is the past form of have to. Had is the past form of have. And as discussed, had to is the past form of have to. So had to is used to express obligation. It is used to express obligation in the past. Have to is used to express the obligation in the present. And had to is used to express obligation in the past. For example, I had to be there by 5 o'clock. Had to indicates obligation in the past, that I had to be there by 5 o'clock. Yesterday, for example, we can say that yesterday I had to be there by 5 o'clock. And he had to move the furniture himself yesterday. It indicates obligation in the past. And in negatives and questions, have to and had to are used with do, does, and did. They are used with do, does, and did in negatives and questions. For example, they have to go, I have to go, we have to go. And these are the affirmative sentences. The next sentence is negative sentence. For example, they don't have to go. We can see that have to has been used with do. As it is negative sentence, that is why it is have to is used with do. And in the next example is interrogative sentence. Do they have to go? Once again, we can see that have to has been used with do. It has been used with do. So in negatives and questions, have to and had to are used with do, does, or did. Another example is he has to go, she has to go, Zahid has to go, it has to go. These are affirmative sentences. And he does not have to go, he does not have to go. So over here with does not, we don't use has to, we use have to. He does not have to go. So have to has been used with does. And in the interrogative sentence, have to is once again used with does. The last one is do. The auxiliary do is used to form the negative and interrogative. They are used to form the negative and interrogative of the simple present and simple past tenses of ordinary verbs. They are used to form negatives of simple present and past simple past tenses, and they are also used to make negative interrogative of simple present and simple past tenses of the ordinary verbs. For example, I do not work, they do not work, and we do not work. We can see that do has been used to make negative of the simple present of the ordinary verb work. And it can also be used to form interrogative of the simple present tense of the ordinary verb, such as do I work, do they work, do we work, or do I work. So this is an interrogative sentence. And he does not work, she does not work, it does not work, Zahid does not work. With he, she, it, or name we use does not, do not. And does he work? This is an interrogative sentence. We can see that do, the auxiliary verb does, has been used in order to form interrogative of the simple present of the ordinary verb work. He did not work. This is past tense and it is negative sentence. Did is used with all types of subject. It is used with all types of subject, whereas do and does are used with different types of subjects. Did he work? Did he work is an interrogative sentence, and we can see that did has been used in order to form negative and interrogative of the simple past tense of the ordinary verb work. It is also used to avoid repetition of a previous ordinary verb. It is also used to avoid repetition. How? Let's discuss example. Do you know him? Do you know him? This is an interrogative sentence. In order to avoid repetition of this word, the sentence no, he, yes, I know him, we use do. Yes, I know. Instead of using the verb know, we use I do in order to avoid repetition. She sings well. She sings well. Yes, she does. Does has been used in place of sings well. Yes, she does sings well. Do is also used to emphasize the affirmative nature of a statement. This is the very common use of the auxiliary verb to do. You do look pale. We can see that. We can also say that you look pale. But in order to emphasize the affirmative nature of the statement, we put do. Do is being used over here for the purpose of emphasis. We want to emphasize the point. We want to emphasize the statement. That is why we say that you do look pale. I told him not to go, but he did go. We can say that, but he went. But over here we have put did in order to emphasize the point. And the imperative sentences do makes a request or invitation more persuasive. Do be quiet. So in imperative sentences, the use of do make a request more persuasive, make an invitation more persuasive. For example, do be quiet. For example, oh, do come. Oh, do come. It is going to be such fun. So it can be an invitation when you say that come. In order to emphasize it, in order to make this more persuasive, instead of saying oh, come, you say oh, do come. It makes it more persuasive. In such cases, do is strongly stressed. It is necessary that in the such use of the verb, the auxiliary verb do must be strongly stressed. You should say, instead of saying oh, do come, you should say oh, do come, oh, do come. So do should be strongly stressed. Thank you very much for listening to the video. Allah Hafiz. See you in the next class.